Now, the Morrison Government has announced the first major review of Australia's retirement income system in 30 years. For more on this and his reaction to it, we're joined by the Chief Executive of Industry Super Australia, Bernie Dean from Melbourne. Bernie Dean, good morning to you. Is this a good thing, the first review? Any system 30 years old needs a decent look, doesn't it?
Yes, good morning, Michael. Yes, we've welcomed the review. It's a great opportunity to have a look at the system to make sure that super, as well as the pension system and other savings arrangements, are delivering the most for working Australians as they move into retirement. So it's a great opportunity, but it's not getting off to the best start. We've seen the terms of reference dropped in the dead of night on a public holiday here before a big grand final, and we've also seen the appointment of some people with some very fixed and quite coloured views about the system in general.
Okay, let's talk about that. Deborah Ralston is one of the inquiry members, and she has suggested making super voluntary for some workers. Her argument is that if you take away super, you'd give that money to workers, mainly low-paid workers, in the form of pay rises. Is that something worth considering?
Well, it's worth debating, and it has been debated for a little while, but it's one thing to have that discussed as part of a review. It's another thing to actually put a person in charge of a review that holds those views. These are quite extreme views, and interestingly, they align with some of the noises that we're hearing out of the coalition party room, not just about making super voluntary, but also stopping the super guarantee rate that is scheduled to increase between now and 2025. And that's a concern. It's one thing to have the debate out there, but it's another thing to put a person in charge of the review that holds some pretty fixed attitudes. I mean, you know, I can't imagine the government appointing a person to review the ABC if they've just shot off a letter to the Prime Minister saying that they don't believe there's a case for a national broadcaster.
Okay, so
that's what we've got here.
Right. Okay, and you do represent the industry funds. What is extreme? You use the word extreme. What's extreme about the argument put by Deborah Ralston and as you say, some Liberal backbenchers of either making super contributions voluntary or stopping that superannuation guarantee at the current 9.5%?
Well, there's two issues there, Michael. The first is the stopping of the super guarantee rate. We've been comforted by the by the Treasurer and the Prime Minister's reassurances that they're not going to stand in the way of the scheduled increase in the super rate. This is putting money into the pockets of Australians saving for their retirement. It was a promise of the Parliament, successive parliaments, and they've said that they won't stand in the way of that. On the issue of optional super or making it voluntary for people to participate, that would be a bad idea for people and it would be bad for the country. And I don't think it would augur well for anybody that thinks that governments are there to manage the economy responsibly. Super has been in place for over 2 decades now. It's delivering more money to people than they otherwise would have had for their retirement. Making it voluntary will just leave the lower paid without any money today in terms of additional wage outcomes, and will leave them with nothing in their nest eggs. Okay,
you say both the Prime Minister and the Treasurer are committed to that guarantee rate going up to 12%, but in his case, the Treasurer uses very careful language whenever he's asked about it, including just over the weekend. He refers to, yes, that increase to 12% being the legislated increase. Of course, as you know, Bernie, legislation can always be repealed. So how confident are you that commitment to increase the superannuation guarantee is solid?
We're hopeful, and I think we're hopeful that this review is an open review. What we don't want to see is the review used as a stalking horse to dismantle the system that's delivering for many millions of working Australians now. The Treasurer himself on Friday said that he wanted this to be a fact-based review. So we're all for that. The Productivity Commission that this review arises from, and also the recent Royal Commission into the financial services sector, both identified areas for reform to make sure that the superannuation system is more efficient, and we are embracing of any sensible, fact-based, evidence-based reforms that will increase the efficiency of the system. What we don't want is people put in charge of the review that have hunches and very fixed, predetermined views about the way that the system should run.
Okay, Bertie Dean, we'll leave it there. Chief Executive of Industry Super Australia, thank you for joining us on News Breakfast.